Hi, I'm Shania and I'm your host for today. And welcome to How to Get Ready for Uni 101. I'm going to introduce my students here. Caitlin.
Hello everyone, and my name is Kevin Neal. I've just finished my second year at BCU studying criminology and security studies. So I'm going to talk to you about how to get ready for uni because it is a daunting experience. It is a bit of a step up from going to sixth form or college, but I can reassure you, if you're prepared, you will be fine. Everybody feels the same. So if you're nervous before you go, please don't worry. I cried as soon as my mum left me in my uni halls, but that happens to everybody. It's like, oh, I'm on my own. I've got to make a new group of friends. I've got to start all over again. But the top thing I can advise is research before you go. Look around all the different unis that you're thinking about going to and prioritise the course. Because if you don't enjoy the course that you're going to do, the course that will make the university experience more difficult because you won't be as motivated to study when you arrive. If you can do any prior reading before you start university, this will help you out a lot because you sort of get a gauge of what you're going to be learning. And if they bring up terms in the first lecture and you're a bit like, if you've read a bit up on it before, then you'll have yourself an advantage. Also, don't be afraid to talk to your lecturers, and when you start, you are assigned a personal tutor. So if you have any personal queries or queries about uni or your accommodation, you can always speak to them or the lecturer that's teaching you. If you're going to halls like I did and you're moving away, try and visit before you actually go, because then you get a gauge of the city and where you'll be living and what sort of style of accommodation you'll be in. But also you can choose sort of what room you want based off what your needs are. So for example, I thought, I quite like an ensuite because I'm not that confident with people to begin with, and having my own loo will make me feel more comfortable. Little things like that. And if you're into the gym, a lot of halls have gyms, so look at things like that. Also, budgeting and financing. I was really lucky that I had my mum to talk to about all of that because she was really open with helping me. But with that, I would recommend getting a student bank account because they offer things like overdrafts and more interest rates. So there's things you can research into, but a lot of this advice is on your university's website or UCAS. So make sure you sort of look at this before you go, so you're a bit more prepared when you turn up. But don't worry, you will be fine because everybody feels the same. And I'm now 2 years in and I'm like, why did I feel like that to begin with? And there's plenty of ways to make friends, for example, through actually going into lectures and speaking to people, or seminars because they're a little bit smaller. Just speak to your neighbours, speak to your people as you're walking to uni. Everyone's going to think you're crazy, but you're all in that position. So if you're the person to make the first word, then it will be a lot easier. But my top recommendation, if you're a community student or if you live in halls, would be to join a society, because it is a common way to make friends and speak to people that have the same interests as you. And if there isn't one for you, you can always start your own. So that's a great way that I made friends, by joining the cheerleading society. And I had no experience with cheerleading when I started, but it meant that I met a great group of people that I went out with. And fingers crossed, when you start in September, you can do the same. But I'm now going to pass you on to Eamon to talk a bit about her experiences. I hope I haven't drowned you with too much information.
Hi everyone, my name's Eamon. I've just finished my third year at uni, so I'm done with my degree. I study accounting and finance, and I'll just talk to you about my worries when I was about to start uni. Hopefully you might have the same and I can resolve them. So first of all, it was obviously making friends because you're going to a totally different environment. Not a lot of nobody from my school was going to uni in Birmingham. So everybody wanted to leave and go elsewhere. So I was quite nervous if I'll be able to make friends. But my top tip will be always approach people first. You're going to get loads of chances like freshers events, freshers fair, the introduction. So try and approach people first. Try and get their Instagrams, message, and deal with their queries, because most of the people will be dealing with the same issues that you will, so you might be able to help each other. Second thing was the workload, and if I was going to be motivated enough to study the same subject for 3 years, because I'm sure not a lot of people like maths, so it can get a bit on your nerves after a point. So I decided, because a lot of people from your module groups will be in your seminars as well, so you can form study groups with them, which will help you because I used to get a weekly test, so it will help you try and deal with like questions and stuff that you don't understand, so they can help you or you can help them, and it will consolidate the learning hopefully as well. Third thing was the finances, because I was going to be commuting daily, so there was obviously there's like a daily outgoing of cash, so I decided to go and look at bus passes, train passes, and there's also I believe there's also stands at Freshers Fair where they talk to you about like concessions and discounts and stuff, so it's a really good idea to look at that, and obviously student discounts as well, try to avail as many of them. And for the workload, I would also say make notes for everything. Even though people say that first year doesn't count, it kind of does, because it sets a routine for your second and third year when things actually start counting towards your degree. So if you start trying to get on top of your work right now, it'll really help you build like an understanding later on.
Thank you. So you both have had different experiences. Caitlin, I know you moved away from home, and Eamon, I know you're from Birmingham. I just want to find out a bit more about like your first day and like how you found it, how like both of you coped like settling in, and how you met friends on that first day, or how that experience was. So, Eamon, do you want to tell me a bit about how your first day in Birmingham from Birmingham was?
So my first day was quite a hassle, because another thing I would say is try and get used to the routes and the train times, because trains do run quite late, especially when it's peak time. So it was quite a hassle, because I literally had to run from the train station to uni because my train was late. And at the introduction, a lot of people were very friendly, even the lecturers and everybody. A lot of people, because everybody wants to make friends, nobody wants to be alone dealing with their situation. So a lot of people approached me. I approached a lot of people. So in terms of like friends, I made loads of friends. I made got lots of WhatsApp numbers, made loads of group chats. So I feel it went quite successfully my first day.
What about you, Caitlin?
So my first day, I moved in on the Sunday just before Freshers Week. I wanted to leave it as late as possible, because then everyone would move in before me, and I wasn't the first one there. Because I knew if I was just sat in my room by myself, I'd stew. I sort of work well by bouncing off other people, so I knew if I was the last one in my flat to move in, then I'd already have people to talk to immediately I was there. So I moved in on the Sunday lunchtime, I think, and my first day, mum and dad helped me move in and put boxes in my room, and I didn't see anyone, and I was like, no, I might be the first one, even though I'm on the last possible moving day. And I sat on my bed, and mum and dad got teary. So obviously made me sad when they left. But I just walked into the kitchen. I was like, right, okay, I'm going to start unpacking and hope that someone comes out the room. I didn't want to just randomly knock on people's doors straight away. I was like, I'll probably overwhelm them a little bit. And then my flatmate came in, and I spoke to her. I was like, hello, what's your name? Where are you from? I recognised her as well. I was like, I've seen her face before. Turns out she lives 20 minutes away from me, actually, where I live at home. And my best friend from sixth form used to go out with her. So it was a bit of a small world, really. I started chatting to her, and she said, I'm from a small place called High Wycombe. You'll have never heard of it. And I was like, yeah, no, I live like 20 minutes away from High Wycombe. And we looked at each other. And halls of residence are really good like that. They'll either put you with somebody on your course or from near where you are at home, so you do normally have something common to speak about. For example, so we were both criminology students, and then I had 3 business students in with me as well. So we were all from BLSS, so we all had something to talk about straight away. And then my other flatmate came in, and turns out he lived 40 minutes away from me, and I always go to Top Golf where he lives, and it was strange. We had something to talk about straight away. So that was my sort of first day. We were talking a little bit and explaining how we were feeling, because let's face it, everybody was feeling the same when they moved into halls. So the more open and honest you are about it straight away, kind of gives you a gauge for it. And one of the boys that was in my flat had been there for about a month, because he was an international student, and he had groups of people coming in on my first day, and I was like, well, there's loads of people in the flat. This is what my life's going to be like for the next year. But he was fine. He was open. He introduced us all, and we all had dinner together on the second night. I think it was just kind of throw it in the deep end. Might as well get to know each other, sort of thing. And then, yeah, when you go, you're told to sort out your ID for university before you actually start teaching. So I decided that to get a feel for uni and what I'd be experiencing, I go into the Curzon building where I get taught and get my student ID done, just so I could sort of see where I would be going for my lectures, so it wasn't overwhelming and trying to find my place on my first day of teaching rather than that. So Freshers Week, I made the most of sort of exploring the city in the day when I could actually get out of bed from the night before, but also chatting to lecturers and staff, because a lot of them just stand there in the buildings that you're going to be going to as a sort of welcome everybody, this is what it's going to be like. So that was my first week really. I went out most nights, and before you go to university you're sort of sent out flyers of what's going to be held in that first week. So I had the welcome week sort of fair that I went to as well, which is really good because you get to chat to loads of different societies and you get to pick up textbooks and you get to meet loads of staff members and a variety of people on the course. But I think it's important to note that if you do turn up and you don't get on with your flatmates or you don't meet people straight away, it is okay, because you will find people. It might not be the people that you live with. Try and give them a chance. But if you don't get on with them after a while and they're really making your life difficult, you can move rooms. You just go down to your reception and ask to be moved if it's possible. But try and sort of be open-minded. I think the mistake I made is before you go to uni, you're told what your experience is going to be like through other people or TV shows or things like that. You have this expectation that you don't learn anything, you go out and do this, that and the other, which, okay, there is a bit of that. But at the same time, you do learn and you do meet loads of different people, and you're not always going to get on with the first people that you meet. So try and sort of be open-minded and make the most of the experience you had. But my first week was great because I didn't have any teaching pressures to worry about. So try and go a week before your teaching actually starts and get a feel for the city and the campus that you'll be on, because then when it comes to actually finding the room, even though I got lost because Curzon's split into 2 sections, I didn't understand that to begin with. It's kind of knowing that, and you also get given a map and sort of a freshers pack in your room, so make the most of sort of thinking about what you're going to be getting up to and try and plan things to do with people that you've just met.